Welcome to week 2 of Bible Studies for Life. This is a great passage today. We're going to be looking at Psalm 138. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you doing that. Before we look at the passage, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. That helps us a lot when you do that. And then if you also have a comment or a question, put that in there in the comment section and share the video with somebody else. And then if you want to support what we've been doing in the teaching and all of that, just go right here to this website at give.exposedtochrist.com. And you can find out how you can give to help support what we're doing. A little under the weather today, but we're going to do everything we can to make it work for you. Okay, let's read the passage. I will give you thanks with all my heart. I will sing your praise before the heavenly beings. I will bow down toward your holy temple and give thanks to your name for your constant love and truth. You have exalted your name and your promise above everything else. On the day I called, you answered me. You increased strength within me. Okay, the lesson title is about the name. That's kind of the whole section that we're in here in the Bible Studies for Life curriculum. And so you see this name a couple of times. It's listed in here where he talks about your name. And so we see this reference to the name of God, which is, it's a way of expressing who God is and everything of who God is, all right? That's part of what that means. All right, I will give you thanks. I mean, it almost looks like a Thanksgiving passage, doesn't it? Maybe we should have done this a couple of weeks ago at Thanksgiving, but you see the way and the things that are mentioned in the praise of who God is. He says, I sing your praise before the heavenly beings. I give thanks with all my heart. I bow down toward your holy temple. I give thanks for your name, for your constant love and truth. For God's constant love, his everlasting love, his eternal love, his love that does not go away, it does not waver, it does not become less. His love is consistent and constant, and his truth is also. We live in a time now where there is this questioning of truth, or this redefinition of truth, which actually makes truth into a lie. It's odd that is the case. When everybody can have their own truth, then truth all becomes a lie. Your truth, if you have a truth and I have a truth, and they're in conflict, well, then it's all just a lie. And so this is not who God is. God's truth is constant. It is consistent all the way through. He says, you have exalted your name and your promise above all else. This promise of who God is and what he will do. So that God's promise to us is worthy of giving our thanks, that we know he keeps his promises. He keeps the things that he says that he will do. He does, always. He keeps his covenant with us. He says, on the day I called, you answered, and you increased strength within me. This giving thanks for answered prayers, even when their answers are not the ones we wanted. Even when the answers are not what we hoped they would be, we give thanks because the Lord does hear. The Lord does listen. Boy, some people really need to hear this. God hears your prayers. You pray, the Lord listens. The Lord cares. He is concerned, right? He has compassion for us. We need to hear this because so many times we feel all alone. We feel that God doesn't see us. We need to hear the Lord is listening. Okay. All the kings on earth will give you thanks, Lord, when they hear what you have promised. Again, the mention of the promise from God, right? They will sing of the Lord's ways, for the Lord's glory is great. Though the Lord is exalted, he takes note of the humble, but he knows the haughty from a distance. All the kings on earth, that is, all of those who recognize the glory of God's promise, the beauty of it, the beneficial nature of his promise, they give thanks to the Lord. They sing of God's ways, for his glory is great. That even the greatest, those that we consider the greatest among us, recognize that the Lord's glory is great, not their own, right? The Lord is exalted. He takes note of the humble. The Lord is not on a throne where he does not see those who are less than him. If that were the case, then he wouldn't see any of us, right? That is not the Lord. The Lord takes note of the humble and the haughty. He sees the haughty, the prideful. He sees the arrogant. He sees you from a long way off. He can tell, right? You may think people can't tell. You may think people don't know. No, They know, and the Lord certainly knows. Okay, then the end of this chapter. If I walk into the thick of danger, you will preserve my life. From the anger of my enemies, you will extend your hand. Your right hand will save me. The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Lord, your faithful love endures forever. Do not abandon the work of your hands. Okay, if I walk into the thick of danger, this sounds a little bit like Psalm 23, doesn't it? Yeah, though I'll walk through the valley of the shadow of death. When I go into danger, you preserve my life from the anger of my enemies. You extend your hand. Your right hand saves me. This confidence that God is going to go with us, will walk with us, will preserve our life in the worst of times. The Lord will preserve our life. But then I love this, verse 8 here. The Lord fulfills his purpose for me. Okay, I think we need to really think about what that means, because it does not mean the Lord gives me what I want. The Lord will use me in grand ways so that I might be well known in the world. That is not it. What is the Lord's purpose for you? What does God need to do, want to do in you and through you and with you to accomplish his purpose? He fulfills his purpose, not my purpose, fulfills his purpose in me. His faithful love. We see this a lot in the Old Testament. It's a great Hebrew word which is hesed, 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 and it is God's covenant. His faithful love, his covenant love that God has promised to love. This is going back to the promise again. His promise to deliver us, those who are his followers, ultimately from danger. This whole thing about danger, that is his promise. It endures forever. It never ends. So, and then his prayer here, do not abandon the work of your hands, which the Lord will not do. He will not abandon his work. Now, I tell you, I love this because it reminds me of this New Testament passage from Philippians. Paul wrote, I am sure of this, that he who started a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. The Lord who started it will carry it on into completion, right? He's going, what God started, he will finish. That is this, right? Lord, do not abandon the work of your hands. Look, the Lord's not going to quit. He's not going to give up. He's not going to abandon you. He's going to continue to do his work. He will carry it on. This is a good work in you. He carries it on until he is done. The Lord works in your life until he's done. We may not always feel it. We may not always see it, but God is working in your life. You are his child. You're believing in him. You put your faith and trust in him. God works in your life until he is done. He will not abandon the work of his hands. He will not do that. Thanks for watching. I hope that's helped. Great passage, Psalm we don't look at very often. It's not like Psalm 23 or Psalm 100 or Psalm 150 or Psalm 1 or some of the others that come to mind, 51. But boy, some great stuff there, right? The Lord's work is not done in you. He will carry it on until he's done. Thanks for watching. Be sure and subscribe, like, comment, share it with somebody else. We'll see you next week.